All right. Well, good morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining me for Cosmic Compass Conversations, where we are going to do our very best to create some points of navigation for this week and into the next season, which starts technically on Saturday. So I'm happy to have all of you here with me this morning. As always, everything is an invitation. If you feel like joining me, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But I would like to breathe together this morning, bringing some much needed energy to those of us that need a little extra energy, and just to create a cohesive and sacred container for what we're going to discuss today. So for those of you that are joining for the first time, you're welcome to close your eyes. You're welcome to keep your eyes open, but bringing your awareness inward and just allowing yourself to feel where you are right now. Feel the points of contact, whether it's the earth or a chair or a bed. Where are you in this world? And really feeling that embodied way of being. And from there, feeling the earth's energy rising up to meet you, holding you, supporting you. And from there, we're going to drop our awareness all the way down to the earth, just to say thank you to Mama Earth, particularly during Virgo season. And from here, we will be doing some breathing. So if it feels good, we're going to breathe up from the earth, up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly, and exhaling with a ah sound. And if you're ready again, breathing up through the soles of the feet, breathing into the belly, and exhaling. Feeling the earth, breathing up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly. A little bit more. And exhaling. And once again, breathing up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly. And when you're ready, exhaling. Let's just do one more breath in, up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly, and exhaling. Beautiful. And whether your eyes are closed or if they've remained open, bringing your awareness back into the circle. And one of the things that many of you know, but it always is worth saying again, that when we do the breathing, what we're doing is we're creating a sacred circle. And so for those of you listening later, your breath moves into this breath and you become part of that sacred circle. So, and I always leave lots of room in the sacred circle for everyone who joins later. So even if you weren't here for the whole breathing process, you're still here in the circle, part of the circle, a big part of the circle. All right. So what we're going to do first is pull some cards. And then we are going to talk astrology, and then we're gonna dip in a little bit to the other realms. And then, as I said, I will turn off the recording and we will have time for questions. Just a few questions at the end. So the first deck I'm going to use today is a little different. I've used this one before. It is the Herbal Astrology Oracle. Oh, let me get it. There we go. Beautiful. Lovely cover. And we are definitely going to, this one is always a surprise. So we're going to check in with this and see what the anchor card is today. So let me just do one thing, and then we are ready to go. Right. And this is a collective read. I always say that. And this is, wow, this is a herb that I don't know anything about, but it is perfect. Yes, it's not fair. I'm looking at it and you're not. So let me just put it up on the screen here. Wow. I mean, this is fabulous. Babinsana, I'm going to go with that as a pronunciation for right now. Something about trust, which I will dive into here in a moment. And most of the time I say, oh, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Well, this card has got riches beyond. So seriously, this card is full of symbols. So at the top, we have Neptune and the moon. We have one of my favorite wisdom keepers, whales. Equally as important are horses, obviously. But I put whales and horses together. One is in the water realm and one is in the earth realm. And then I don't know, I haven't settled on my air realm yet. I mean, my go-to is eagle because I've seen a lot of them, but I'm open to possibilities. We've got stars and moons and DNA and hummingbirds and this herb, Babinsana. And we have a portal down here, and we have the melting away of time, I think. That's how I'm interpreting it. So your interpretations are what matter the most in this moment. So I'm going to just leave this here for just another few seconds. I'll put it in the email. And just because it's us right now, I will look this up, and I know it is great, Lori. I'm going to just look it up and just read a couple of things because it's a new herb. And I'm curious about it, and I can't wait. Yeah. And it's interesting too. I mean, most of you realize that I'm already thinking about next year, because I'm preparing programs for next year, including one that I'm going to offer in December around how to embody the year ahead. Next year is an 8-year, and this is the 8 card. So I feel that I'm being given a little bit of reminder that being in the 7-year numerologically is a reminder of our practical magic. Being in a 7-year is a really important time to continue deepening our own process and our own connection with magic and the other realms. So the 8-year brings a new energy. Ooh, you know what? Also, too, I'm just gonna put this back up here. I just saw these. Do you see those? Those are the ancestors, right? And this is the time where the veils are thinning. So yeah, wow. So much. Okay. So let's find out just a little bit about this, okay? Just a teeny weeny bit. Babinsana is a highly respected master teacher that contains a plethora of medicinal benefits for body, mind, and spirit. It is native to the Amazon basin. Oh, wow. Many call the herb sirenita or mermaid. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. You're just going to have to wait for my little email later today. And the only reason I'm doing that is really I want you to be just in this energy today. What is this energy of trust and this powerful medicinal herb that is the frequency, according to the book, is very much around the divine feminine. And the mermaid is the nickname for the herb. So, wow, I love it. I'm so excited. All right, so that's, wow. I mean, just even if we just pulled one card, that would be amazing. But we are going to pull another card. And please excuse my voice. We have had a very smoky weekend. It's just now getting better as of 4 o'clock this morning. So I have a little bit of that froggy voice from my allergies to smoke. So, all right. Our first card. Here we go. Oh, this is interesting. I think we got this card last week too. All right, so the traditional name for this, it's not the greatest name, the Hanged Man. I really like her interpretation with this aerial energy coming through. I don't know if any of you have done this. I have not, but I have friends who do this and it looks really fun. So it's number 12. And just again, your job is to just look and see, what do you notice? What do you feel? I had a question from the email last week about why I don't necessarily share the traditional meanings here. And part of it is because traditionally, tarot works with your psyche, works with your intuition. Yes, there are great meanings, and I have deep respect for all of the people who have taken the time over thousands of years to develop the meanings. And the best use of symbols, color, texture is through our own filters, our own psyche. Now, is there more to learn? 100%. Once we settle on what we feel with the card, then I like to look it up. And that's why I don't talk about it during our time, because I think, okay, let's give it time. Let's give it time. So I just want to acknowledge what's in the chat, and we will come back to that soon after I turn off the recording, because I do want to know how things are over there. And, but I do also want to preserve your privacy. So thank you though for putting that in the chat. Alrighty, next card will be, okay, I swear to you, I mix these cards up. They get used, but here is the other. We had this card recently, if not last week as well. I think it was last week. Okay, so this card, 5 of Wands. Again, what do you notice? What do you feel? How does this look to you? There's some interesting traditional meanings for this card, some of which I think are very powerful. And I will make sure, actually today I may put a couple extra things into the email, or tomorrow when I do it. But for now, what are you noticing? I notice something different every time. It's kind of fun. All right. Okay, I'm going to mix them up even more, since we seem to be getting, but I have been mixing them up. They must really want to speak to us. They have messages. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow, we just had this card too. This is a trip. I mean, seriously, I've mixed them up and everything. All right. I'm just in a different order today. Here they are. This should make my follow-up email easy. All right. So again, the universe says, again, you need a little review, a little primer. What do you see? What do you notice? What do you feel? Let's get you some of the details. There's a lot of, this artwork is always so amazing to me. A lot of details here. Little detail on the arm. Okay. So one thing I am going to do is I am going to say that in general, what I'm feeling collectively is our need to surrender, our need for cooperation, and our need for leadership. So I'm just going to leave it there as a summary based on that. And with our anchor card of trust and healing, yes, part of the healing is to surrender. Part of the healing is to find ways to work together. And sometimes part of the healing is to be a leader. And I'm going to put that in quotes, not because I don't think we're not all leaders, but I think we each have our own definition of that. I think, and actually that would be a great journal prompt, really, is to consider what is your definition of a leader. And just like, what is your definition of power? What is your definition of success? One of the things that I intend to talk about when I'm at the summit in November is how much we need all of us to step into these roles. All of us, not just a few, but everyone, because we need everyone. And that's really what the planets are really talking about right now is, and again, I think these cards dovetail nicely with the astrology, because as we move toward the end of the year, what we're moving toward is the letting go, the completion of a 13 or 14-year process that we've each been in individually and collectively. So that process is designed, it's designed to transform us. It's designed to help us become better versions of ourselves. It is designed to support our collective evolution. Most of you know that I am, thank you, Allison. Most of you know that I am I'm talking about Pluto, our friend Pluto. So the energy that's building now definitely supports our journey, and it supports the journeys that are not always the easiest ones right now. The way we view ourselves, the way we see ourselves, our perspective of, who am I right now? That actually needs to shift a little. And I believe that the cards are saying, let's shift in the direction of leadership, right? Everyone has had a personal email from me at some point, at least all of you here. And you know that I talk about being a mentor for wisdom keepers, right? So why do I use that phrase? Why wisdom keepers? Because I really believe that that is who we are, all of us, not just some of us, but all of us in some form. So this is where we're headed, and wisdom is something we continue to learn. That is not a place we get to. It's not a destination. Wouldn't it be nice? But it is just an ongoing process. So let me bring up the chart for the day, which I have right here. And I'm going to turn it into something that we can see together. All right. So this is today's chart, literally today's chart. So it's set for Reno, Nevada. No idea why. That's okay. We don't need to know why. Which I think is on a different time zone than I am. I don't know. It's a mystery. This is the mystery of life. No idea. But let's say a big shout out for Reno, Nevada today. Big shout out for you, Reno, because you showed up on my screen for some reason. Anyway, today we have the moon in Scorpio. Currently, we have the moon, what we call conjunct, or at this almost same degree as the rising sign for this moment in time. This means we are really deepening into energy today. We are deepening into the mystery. We're deepening into the magic. We're deepening into intuition. The moon is a wonderful, wonderful ally. And it really is our biggest support in many ways because, coming back to that in a moment, Kristen, because the answer is yes. Sidetrack. Squirrel. So yes, Scorpio, deepening, collectively moving deeper, and allowing the moon to guide us. So as I was saying, the moon is our ally. Tracking the moon really helps us know the closest energy to us. The moon is right there. So when we're in Scorpio energy, even if you don't have any planets in Scorpio, but when you're in Scorpio energy, the moon is in Scorpio energy, there is greater access to your intuition, even greater, I should say, because we all have access to it all the time, even more access to the mystery. Okay. So that's just our first thought for the day. We're here, we're deepening, and we're in this evolution. I am going to just follow up on, and hopefully it's okay that I used her name. I think it'll be okay. Kristen from Palo Alto Reiki says, do you feel that collectively we may be moving from wisdom keepers to wisdom sharers? And I would say yes. And part of wisdom keepers is that wisdom keepers do share their wisdom. So in the way that I see wisdom keepers, they're not just keeping it to themselves. They are teachers, they are leaders, they are, we are all that for each other. But I love the shift. I love the shift. So wisdom keepers and sharers. I love it. We'll add that in for our purposes, because yes, that is the idea. As Pluto moves into Aquarius, that is absolutely 100% the plan. So yes, we are here. Well, good. Thanks, Kristen. So thank you for that prompt and reminder. Okay, so speaking of Pluto, we'll come back to Pluto in a moment, but let's look at this. And this is something, a little astrology teaching for those of you that want to learn astrology, but not too much astrology so that people get lost. Here's Pluto in Capricorn. It makes up part of an equilateral triangle that we call a trine. This is called a grand trine today. And Uranus is at 22, so it's wide, it's not perfect. And the sun is at 25. What is happening here is that the sun, as it moves closer to the end of the Virgo, right, it is becoming even more connected to Pluto. Now, Uranus is moving retrograde, so it's moving backwards a little bit. But this is still a very powerful trine. This is a grand Earth trine. And what it's doing is it's really activating Earth magic right now. And Earth magic can come in many forms. It can come in forms that might look unexpected. Let's add the Uranian aspect in, right? We've seen a lot of unexpected events happen with the Earth of late. Pluto is offering us opportunities to deepen into the other realms in ways that are quite detailed right now. This is something that is unique to now. This isn't a seasonal thing, although we are moving into a seasonal aspect, which happens every year. But this is particular to this year. This will never happen again in our lifetimes. Okay. So this week, as we move closer to the seasonal shift, we have the sun and Pluto in this very strong trine with a wide angle to Uranus, which I believe is an important reminder of our purpose, right? Why are we here now? Why are you here now? What is the path, the evolutionary path that excites you, that inspires you, that motivates you? See, notice there's a bit of a difference in how I'm saying that. What is the path that excites you, inspires you, and motivates you? Okay. So just, again, these are just questions to be with. Deepening underneath this is a reminder that Pluto also represents a profound healing power. Pluto is the god of the underworld, and the underworld in astrology is basically under the earth. So Pluto represents that which is under the earth and the riches that are there for us to deepen into, to help with our growth. Okay. So it's not always an easy journey, but it is a very profound one. And so the trine is actually a very positive, if we want to look at positive and negative, which I don't necessarily do, but the trine is a very auspicious aspect. And it just reminds us, oh my gosh, we are here. This is happening. And this is a great week to listen, to journal, to meditate, to deepen. And for those of you who don't know me well, when I say meditate, I don't necessarily mean just sitting meditation, although that is very powerful for those people who really deepen in and are able to clear and listen and clear and listen again. But for me, meditation can be taking a walk and listening to nature, going out again under the sky, looking at the stars. How do you feel? You can meditate with a tarot card. You can meditate with an oracle card. You can meditate while you're playing with your children. For me, meditation is active, and absolutely and I know a lot of people in our community do a lot of sitting meditation. 100% on board with that as well. It's the listening and the feeling and the sensing and the tuning in that is really important. This is a really powerful week to do that. So I will be committing to more of that in my week. And there's no expectation per se, but my general intention is to listen and to open, and see what comes, right? See what comes. Yeah, it's true. And, as we move through this time, it's not always easy to do this, but we're getting a little opening right now. Okay. So this is good news. Yeah. All right. Now I want to point something out. This is a more advanced astrology aspect called a kite. Many of you hear me talk about this. It's just for today. It's not a forever thing, but if somebody were born today, they would have this kite in their chart. The tip of the kite is Neptune, which showed up on our anchor card. Actually, the moon and Neptune showed up. Neptune in this instance is really about visioning, again, more listening, the opportunity to see through the veils. So Neptune is in Pisces. It's retrograde right now. Neptune has been in Pisces a very long time at this point and will continue to be in Pisces for quite a while. It takes a long time for Neptune to move through each sign. Neptune loves Pisces. It is the ruler of Pisces. And it is also a time where it's fascinating. There's the shadow and the light, right? The shadow side is it's sometimes hard to see beyond our own perceptions. Neptune can cast a veil, or we can, and technically you realize when I say that, what I'm saying is that we cast our own veils in a lot of cases. We keep ourselves behind a veil because it can be sometimes more challenging to see, the reality or the truth. I have no judgments around that because I think that we see and feel and sense what we need to when we need to. And I really trust in divine timing. So that brings us back to Neptune again, which is a very much Pisces and Neptune represent that divine love, that divine energy, that deep subconscious energy, that connected to the heavens energy. So today and tomorrow, we are in a position to be really connected to the energies that are supporting us in ways that we can't always know. But, when I say things like, may you experience dreams that are beyond what you could have wished for, right? That's a Neptunian feeling, something beyond what I could even know. It's opening up, it's making itself available. So as we move through today and tomorrow, again, really particular portals are opening up for visioning or receiving a little bit more information about our collective future and or our individual futures. Dreams are extraordinarily important right now. I did not write down my dreams, but I did awake at 3:30 in the morning with my talk for the summit being written in my head. So I had to get up and write a few things down so I wouldn't forget it. It's worth it. If you wake up with a particular dream or you have some project that you're working on and there's information, for me in my life, it's worth it to get up at 3:30 in the morning and spend a couple of minutes. It took a while to get back to sleep, but it is worth it to gather this information. Neptune's energy is very much about what's going on while we're sleeping. So there's a lot of magic here. And I'm going to tell a story that some of you already know. But I think you and the moon, and Neptune got it right because now I'm shining bright, so bright. Wow, Kristen, that is from a song, she says, called Bright by Echo Smith. I might have to use that in my talk. So thank you very much for sharing. I'll have to go back and listen to the song. Maybe I can play it. Thank you. That's awesome. And so Neptune, again, Kristen, Palo Alto Reiki, very tuned in. She doesn't necessarily know what's going on in the astrology till she shows up here, but she knows because she's tuning in. And that's what we do here is we're all tuning in. We're all tuning in. So over the weekend, I had a dream. It was a very specific dream. Maybe it was last Friday. I can't remember, but it was in the last few days. And I was at a high school. I was at the park where we go for a walk here, where I live in Southern Oregon. We park in a certain spot and then we walk through this really beautiful, huge park. And in my dream, that's where we were. We were in the park, right in that area. And there was this mini pop-up high school reunion, mini pop-up. So it was 40 people or so. And I knew some of them, I didn't know all of them, or I knew who they were, but I didn't know them in high school. Don't know why. I understand this dream is about my psyche. So we're not going to psychoanalyze me yet, maybe later, but not right now. But anyway, so I'm talking to people. There were some really interesting interactions with people I don't see so much anymore. So that was very interesting. It was good to see people. And at the end of the reunion, I said to them, "Oh, I don't want all of you to have to drive home. Why don't you come across the street to my house?" Which, of course, this is a dream. This is not real. Come across the street to my house. We have a room. Excuse me. It makes me laugh. We have a room on the bottom floor that there'll be lots of room for all of you. So 40 people, no problem in this room on the bottom floor of this house that we just bought, apparently, in the dream. So everybody comes over and I get everybody literally this is how my brain works, my Cancer North Node. I get everyone tucked in, ready for bed. I explain how to use the bathroom. I make sure everybody has blankets. And, one of my really close friends from high school comes over to me and he says, "So are you going to use this as an Airbnb?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, no. I said, and by the way, I'm sorry for the decor. It's not our style, but we bought it as is, and we just bought it. It's new for us. But no, I'm going to use it for retreats." So I say that in my dream, right? I'm going to use this for retreats. And then everybody gets tucked in. It's hilarious how my brain works. I turn off the light. Everybody has to go to sleep. Okay, so I wake up and I wrote it down this time because it was such a significant dream. And then later I text some of the friends from the dream and I said, consider yourself hugged. I gave you guys hugs in the dream. All right. Then I opened my email. And one of the first emails that I'm opening, the morning after this dream is from Zillow. And for those of you who are not in the United States, Zillow is a company that highlights all houses that are for sale or for rent, but in this case for sale. And it had sent me a listing for a house. And I opened it up just because I think it's interesting, not because I'm necessarily in a position to buy a house right now, but I was like, okay, the universe is giving me information. I open it up and it is literally the house across the street from where we were in the park in the dream. It is the house across the street. It is the real house across the street. And the reason I know that is because it has statues in the front yard. One of them being the Statue of Liberty, a very small version. So I notice that house every time. But anyway, this house is for sale, apparently. And Zillow is telling me this house is for sale. And it's across the street and it's for sale. Okay, that's weird even for me. I'm like, okay, maybe subliminally, I knew that house was for sale. Somebody's trying to get me some information. But you're going to love this. The address number is 333. Okay. I'm already like 333. It's across the street. Okay. This is just so anyway, even for me, I was blown away. So I have no idea what to do with this information other than now that this house is across the street and, I'm clearly just going to wait for the miracle, right? Just going to wait for the miracle. Because do you want to know what the price is? Let's do a guessing game in the chat. Who wants to guess what the price of the house across the street from the park where I had the mini reunion and invited everybody over to sleep in it, and the address is 333? No. Keep going. You put your numbers in the chat. Yeah, keep going up. Up. More up. I'll give you a couple minutes. Yes, you got it, Kristen. Ding, ding, ding. Kristen wins. 3 million. Only 3 million for the 333 house across the street from where we were in the dream. So I go and look at it online. Because, what am I going to do? I'm going to go look at it, right? Online, not in person. I have to tell you, I am certain that people put a lot of effort. Yeah, there better be a piece big enough. Exactly. It's actually a pretty cool, it's a really cool house. I will say this, the people put a lot of energy and effort into creating a house that clearly represents their style. And I think I'm going to say it that way because I think that's the fair way to say it. And it would be a house. It would be a house where I would probably want to do some changes. Oh, bye, Judy. Okay. So it would probably be a house where I would want to do some changes. All right. Anyway, aside from that house, but you get my point. Okay. So what is the point of the story? The point of the story is Neptune, Pluto are working together right now. They're going to stay in connection. This isn't going to change rapidly. This is a sextile for those of you that are interested in the astrological components. This is a 60-degree difference. They are going to stay in connection. These two are moving a bit away from each other, but they'll stay in connection. The piece that makes it interesting is having the sun very much direct Neptune. The energy is pointed toward Neptune today. There is still energy for all of us, even after this week, to deepen into our dreams. This will stay true for a while. This is not going away. And I have to tell you, this is one of the first times where I've had this particular experience. This one even really got my attention. So what do I do with that information? I look at, the dream has its own information, And then when something shows up after a dream, or, there you go, after the dream, what I do then is, in this case, I ask for more information, because how am I supposed to know what to do with this, right? So I just put it out there to the universe. Oh, hey, if this house is something you want in my future so I can do retreats, just show me. I'm willing to look at that. But the thing that I think is most important is what shows up in our dreams, like a statement or a feeling, something really strong that we remember, the essence of the dream. And what I took from this, and what I think is important from any dream that you might be working with, whatever it is, whether it's a waking dream or a nighttime dream, as the veils thin, right? Feel the essence or hear what it is you say if it's a dream. I'm going to do retreats here. That was a very strong, clear statement that I made, and it came just right out of me in the dream. I have done obviously a lot of retreats in the past. I've facilitated a lot of retreats in the past. Some beautiful homes, by the way, that weren't mine, but they were awesome. And I haven't done them in a long time, partly because COVID interrupted that process. But what I would say is it must be time for me to start getting ready, preparing to offer more retreats. So that's what I'm taking from the dream. It's my psyche saying, you want to do this. It's time. You want to do this. It's time. So, okay, fair enough, psyche. Fair enough. I'm listening. And right. I like what you have to say, Mary. Maybe I do meet the person. I did send it to a friend. I don't know if they can afford it, but I did send it to a friend. Maybe you want to buy this house. So yeah, there's a lot of messages out there. So what I'd like to do right now is become, get more into the connection of how do we, with ease, connect to the other side? How does that work? I am very clear that we are a part of a greater connection to these other realms, right? So important to be clear about that, at least for me. So important to be clear about that. Yes, thank you, Allison. When we're working with other realms, and what do I mean by that? People have asked me, what do you mean by the other realms? Well, I call this a realm, like where we are right now, it's physical, tangible realm. I am very aware that there are other realms that are equally as real for me. And those realms look a lot like there's the nature realm, there's the animal realm, and then we go another layer deeper, the plants, the trees, and they all have energy and they all have messages, right? And then there's the fairy realm. So you all know that this is real for me. So those are real for me. And then there's the other side realm. And that's when people have passed over. They are no longer in this physical realm, or animals also passed over, and they're in that realm. Then there are divine realms, which include, again, guides, angels, messengers, all of that. So for me, there's tons of realms. And when we're moving in through this week and then into this next season so again, we're moving towards Samhain, or most commonly known Halloween. So end of October, beginning of November. We're already moving into that. It's only September, but this is the season we're moving toward. So the idea is that these realms, we want to get comfortable. And so part of that is understanding how to do that. So that's really what I wanted to share today. A lot of you already do this work. So this will be a lot of review, but the first step always always for me, is to create a bubble of divine protection. The first step is to call upon your guides and angels, to call upon the earth, to call upon the divine, and to really ask for the protection. And that isn't to say that you need to be worried. It is to say that there is this important bubble of energy that you surround yourself with. Now, I do this around myself. I do this around my house. I do this around my neighborhood. I do this around the earth. I'm asking for protection for all in whatever way is right, and in the highest and best way. The reason I do this is that the other realms have all kinds of beings in them. So my first mentor taught me this, and I continue to use this. And one of the easiest ways is just to envision a bubble of light and just ask for that divine protection. I really, truly live like that every day, and many of you do as well. I am aware of all the energies that are out there, and I let my guides know. They become gatekeepers, and they keep energies that are not for my highest and best away. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different path. And I'm not interested in working with energies that are not of the highest, most divine frequency. When I'm working with clients, if there is a family member that wants to come through, they have to pass through my gatekeepers. So the first level is this bubble of protection around yourself and your house or wherever you are. And the next for me is the gatekeepers. Who gets let in and who doesn't? This is particularly helpful at night. Gatekeepers set it up. Everybody knows the boundaries. Nobody gets in to wake up Denise at night unless it's an emergency. And in that case, then I am, that's fine. That has happened a number of times. And that's when, and so what do I do? When that comes in, I have a knowing, I have a sense of this person needs help, or this person has just crossed over, or somebody is, whatever the situation is. In that case, my next layer of protection is to acknowledge and to ask their guides, their angels to support them. I offer, I use the word prayer because I'm comfortable with it. I offer a prayer of support and love. There are times when someone needs help crossing over, and that may or may not be something I want to do in the middle of the night. So I ask for support from the other side. Now, this is starting to sound very detailed, and I hadn't planned to quite go there, but you get the point. You are here in this realm, and we have choice. There's always a choice. You don't have to interact with the other realms if you don't want to. But if you do, please set up the parameters that are good for you, set up the parameters that are right for you, set up the parameters that allow you to feel, hear, sense, see, know what is for the highest and best for you. Okay? And if you're being called on to help, which a lot of you are because of the work you do, if you're being called on to help in the other realms, as long as it's for your highest and best, you will be protected. And so again, just continuing to wrap that energy around yourself. And I sound very passionate about it and kind of a little like about it because obviously I've had other experiences and don't wish that upon anyone and don't wish to have those experiences myself. So it's an interesting time. I believe, and this is my Sagittarius moon, right? I believe that this is inspiring. I believe that we're here to really engage with the realms of light, the realms of the divine, and the realms of our ancestors, because they have messages that will help us do better. If I'm going to be a wisdom keeper or a wisdom sharer, as Kristen coined today, I need to be listening a lot more than not, right? Listening. What are the messages that are coming through? Now, I know I get a lot of questions throughout the week via email, so I'm just going to take a moment to answer one of those questions. How do I know? How do I know what voice I'm listening to? Good question. There are, and again, the nuances become more and more clear the more you practice. We have our own inner voices, right? We have our own doubts and fears, and I have that too. If I'm concerned that we're going to have an earthquake, for instance, is that real, or is that just a fear based on trauma of being in a lot of earthquakes? I have to sort through that. That's called discernment. And that's where Pisces and Saturn in Pisces comes in, because Saturn is our ruling body around discernment. And in Pisces, Saturn is really helping us figure out, how does this work? Is this correct? Is this the best possible interpretation? Is this my fear, or is this something I'm being told? This takes practice, and it's important to be open to the question for yourself. So Saturn will be here for about 2 more years in Pisces to help us through. So we are in the perfect time to be discerning, learning, connecting, and really tuning in and understanding what is my voice, what might be a message from this tree over here, or what might be the message from an ancestor, right? I happen to have Saturn in Pisces around this same degree. I'm in my Saturn return. And this is a lifelong process. Discernment is a lifelong process. Yeah. One of the interpretations of the name Denise is wise discerner. And I have to laugh because I think it's just a clue, like, hello, you got to do this. You got to do this now. So Saturn represents many things, but I wanted to bring in that discernment piece because that is part of the practice. When we're starting to open up to the realms and we start with our protection, we know that we're going to get support from our guides in the highest and best way for each of us, right? The next step, once we start to hear the messages, feel the messages, sense the messages, for some, it might come with, literally, you might smell something different. It's not always visual. It's not always auditory. It comes in different ways. But discernment is really the key. And again, this does take a lot of practice, and it's something I do every day. When I'm working with a client, if they want to speak to someone on the other side, someone who's passed away, pass through, as Sheena taught me, pass through the veils, not, what did I used to say? Well, anyway, Sheena says you pass through the veils. I have to be discerning. Is that the right energy? Is this the energy I want to have in? Is this correct? Is this a good energy for the client? And the client and I have to work together to discern, is this the right thing to do? So discernment is a particularly important part of my process every single day. So even if you don't have Saturn in Pisces, it's here for us now for 2 years to help us all collectively become better at discernment. So we can widen this out a little bit, take it away from just these other realms, and realize that Saturn is also here to help us discern in a world that isn't very clear sometimes, in a time where things aren't very clear. Saturn is here to help us find more clarity. And part of that, again, is going to be some structure. Saturn represents the structure of journaling, listening, meditating, working with someone who can help us discern, to work through things. So we're in a great time. And today's chart really emphasizes for me the beginning stage of moving into a season where we're going to have lots of opportunities. More on that later. We have a lot of time. We have 6 weeks, 7 weeks, probably more than that if we're going to extend beyond Samhain. We've got a lot of time, so we'll dive into this more. But this is the beginning, and I really want to share that with all of you. So that is my talk for today. You all have been extraordinarily wonderful and supportive. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn off the recording now and just open up for a couple questions. But first I have to figure out how to turn off the recording. Hold on. I will get to that. Here we go. You close that or not. Don't close that. Close that. Close that.